And we are ready with the match. Those are some interesting setups. Let's hear what Kill2 and Angel Hunt have to say about it.
Yeah, interesting setups for sure. So we have DarkSide versus Razor Alliance on the field. DarkSide on your left in red. 2 Lokis, 3 Brutics, 1 Oneros, 1 Curse, and 2 carries.
And from Razor we have a Balgorn, Abaddon, Damnation, Myrmidon, Guardian, 2 Enyos, 3 Ishkers. Not terribly impressed with either lineup. I think I'm going to give the edge to DarkSide. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm going to wait and see. I don't know what to think of either of these setups. I don't like Enyos, but other than that, I don't want to make any judgments. They both look interesting. I'm just not sure. The Lokis have warped in closer than the rest of the DarkSide fleet, maybe at 20k from the beacon. The beacon angles are opposite, so there's a lot of range between the farthest ships on the field. Most of the Razor team has warped in at 20k with a couple support, the Guardian, the Myrmidon, and the Damnation a little further back at maybe 50k. So we are underway now, and yeah, this will be interesting for sure.
Not a lot going on. We've got a swarm of Hornet EC300s coming from DarkSide, pushing right up into Razor at this point. It's not a lot of movement from Razor. They seem to be holding their range fairly steadily, which is interesting considering those Enyos are generally blaster ships. Maybe they're going to be using them as anti-drone support, perhaps. Really not a lot of damage coming out. The Enyos taking some damage split between the two of them, but right now not a whole lot going on.
So much weird stuff happening in this fight. I don't know if you guys are able to see, but the Brutixes on the DarkSide team are not moving. They're just sitting still. Almost the entire DarkSide team sitting still, in fact. Kind of forcing the Razor team to engage the Lokis, I guess. But they're not really doing that so far. They are shooting at something, but I don't see any damage really being sustained by the DarkSide team. Whereas a couple Enyos starting to take damage for Razor.
It looks like the majority of the drones being fielded are either light drones and light ECM drones. Still almost no damage coming into the DarkSide team, which is fairly impressive. Not seeing even any shields going down, and it appears, as hinted by the Oneros, that these should be armor tanked. Really not much going on. Not a lot of movement. Really not really fighting for much position, holding their ranges, with some of the Lokis slowly getting in range.
Yeah, I think this is just bizarre. The battleships on the Razor team are not able to move very fast, no propulsion mods, so they're creeping their way forward. One of the DarkSide Brutix has come down to the middle of the arena, and he's starting to take damage finally. The Abaddon has opened up on that Brutix. Other than that, the Loki's still sitting where they are, and the rest of the DarkSide team sitting back where they started. Still the Brutixes, the Curses, or the one Curse, sorry, are sitting back kind of at the 50k range there. So I just don't know what their plan is. I don't know if they really need them to be shooting the Lokis before they want to commit the Brutixes or what. But so far, really not much happening. A little DPS being applied to those Enyos, but nothing the Guardian can't handle for now.
I think that DarkSide might be banking on a lot of the damage coming from the drones of the assault frigates, which is interesting because those drones do take quite a bit of time to travel in between targets. They've already switched them to the Brutix, which is slowly entering armor, which may not necessarily be much of a concern. We did see a big tackle notification from that Brutix on top of the Razor Balgorn, which is now going into armor. It looks like a lot of drones are dying. It's pretty slow. It's a pretty slow death, not necessarily as effectual as smart bombs would be. Like, what team was it killed to with the Sleipnirs?
I don't remember, but actually now that you say that, the Razor Balgorn is running a smart bomb, so he is killing some drones that way. He's also sitting on top of a couple of the DarkSide ships, so that will be why you see some damage spread across those Brutixes. It looks like DarkSide may be starting to commit their DPS to the Balgorn and stop shooting drones. But yeah, still just weird. Ishkur's taking damage for Razor, but getting repped by the Guardian without too much trouble.
The Balgorn is slowly going down into armor. Maybe DarkSide just seems to be trying to overwhelm them, clear the drones off the field, and really get some work done. Still not much damage coming into DarkSide. It looks like the Balgorn is the only smart bombing ship for Razor. I mean, as soon as I say that, the Abaddon's going to start doing so. But it's an interesting way of dealing with drones, bringing so many assault frigates. Really not as effective as what we saw Panda pull. It's interesting. I'm not really seeing either of these setups be that effective. They are certainly slow, which is interesting considering both of these teams are potential contenders in the finals.
So more and more drones blowing up, a lot of the Razor frigs taking damage, and Enyo hurting pretty bad now. But now for some reason, after closing all that range really slowly, you're kind of letting the fight kind of congeal into the middle here. The Abaddon and the Balgorn have started shooting the Loki, which they didn't seem to want to do to begin with. Maybe they realized they couldn't break a Brutix any easier anyway, and so now they're shooting at that Loki, but that's not doing anything. He's getting repped back by the Oneros with no trouble. Guardian was taking a little damage on the Razor side for a while, but nothing happening there. The Brutix is definitely committed to the fight, and I believe they were shooting the Balgorn. I don't know what they're up to now. I'll go have a look.
We're seeing a new set of damage drones coming out from some of the Razor ships. We're seeing some Ogre 2s. Maybe it's time that Razor has decided to turn on the heat on DarkSide. Their tanks can't be that terribly resilient. The Brutix is not getting terribly high resists. I believe those should be the first to go down.
So all of DarkSide's damage ships are now sitting on top of this Guardian. All three Brutix and both Lokis, even though the Lokis I think are kind of the recon configuration with the web bonus. I'm not positive about that, but that would be my guess. They're all sitting on top of and shooting this Guardian, and actually it's starting to work. He's dipping down to about half armor. There is, as long as it's the right team, yes, there are repair bots on that Guardian, but it doesn't look like they're doing enough for now. So this could be kind of the breaking point. It doesn't look like DarkSide's taking any damage at all, really, still. So this Guardian, hopefully going to go down.
I'm just not sure why they waited so long to deal with that Guardian. The Guardian should go down relatively soon, as the Brutixes are in optimal engagement range for them. Hopefully this will be the keystone for the Razor team, and the rest of the team will fall relatively soon. Really not impressed with this brick armor, with this brick type armor slow setup, and it looks like the Guardian is down, and they've immediately switched to the Enyo. DarkSide now switching up targets and slowly picking them off from the Razor team.
Okay, there goes an Enyo. So now anything that gets close to this group of DarkSide battlecruisers should go down pretty easily. They're flying now. It looks like they're wanting to cover like 15k to go chase down an Enyo from what I'm seeing, which is just weird to me. The Razor Myrmidon is literally sitting right on top of the Brutixes. I would think they could easily switch and take him out, but they're flying at least 20k over here to get this Enyo that is tackled and is going down. But just bizarre kind of game control in this fight. Carry's starting to take damage now on the DarkSide team. I don't think they're having too big of an impact. Of course, that's the dampening bonus electronic warfare frig, and I doubt they're doing much. They could be limiting the targeting range on the Balgorn and Abaddon, but I don't see them really unable to do anything. So that Enyo did go down, and we'll have to see what they pick next, I guess.
Both carries is going down almost simultaneously, and the last Enyo finished off. I'm not really certain that those carries are that important to the DarkSide team at these relatively close ranges. I do believe that the bulk of the damage is going to come from those Brutixes, which is a really unusual, so to speak, and I'm not really sure why the Lokis are being brought at all. They are strong tanks, but the damage coming out of DarkSide is not terribly impressive. Really slow flight. And I agree with you. I think that Miram should have gone down first. I think it's a much more important target due to the Razor team's seeming reliance on drones at this point. The Myrmidon able to field numerous flights of medium and light drones, and just really able to compensate for DarkSide killing them off.
I'm looking at this Balgorn and trying to figure out what he's doing. I would expect him to be having a bigger impact on this match. I'm so nervous, but I want to say he has beam lasers fit. It's not Scorch or multi-frequency, that's for sure. It's yellow, and it's got the kind of weirdy particle effect. I don't know the turrets by just looking at them when they're not firing, but he's not doing much. I mean, he's got repair bots on him, and he's just kind of chilling. I don't see Newt graphics even headed away from that Balgorn, so yeah, I just don't know. Only 4 ships left now for Razor, kind of getting to the end of this match that's just bizarre.
I think I'm seeing some energy transfer going on in between the Damnation of Razor and the Balgorn. I'm going to go on a limb and say that those are standard crystals with pulse, and again, it's a very unusual choice for this ship type. I also don't see any newts coming out of it. No, we just seeing the first newts coming out of the Balgorn. Perhaps that curse has been doing a very impressive job newting him down, really negating his effect on this field. It appears that DarkSide is going to take down the Razor Abaddon, and with that, essentially, Razor will lose almost half of the DPS on the field. All the Razor battleships are pulse fitted, but either a poor choice of crystals and just not an impressive setup at all.
Yeah, Abaddon going down pretty quickly now, so he'll be out pretty soon. I will have you guys all know that I've lost probably 250 to 400 MR battleships myself, which is why I'm such an expert at telling exactly what kind of lasers they're using. So in the future, let's just assume that all lasers are beams, and then I don't have to really worry about it. Abaddon in structure now. He'll be down pretty soon. Nero's finally taking some damage. I don't know why that's picked up at this point. He's scooting around Afterburner fit, and probably really difficult for them to hit at all, but he did take some damage. There goes the Abaddon.
It looks like that was sort of a parting shot from the Abaddon. The Balgorn now slowly slipping into armor. No, they've actually switched to the Myrmidon. The Balgorn is actually slowly getting shield HPs up. Still not changing crystals. I really can't imagine what's going through his mind right now. He's at a range where multi-frequency should well be able to hit at least those curses. Maybe he's just so low on cap at this point that he has to use these very cap-light crystals, and really his damage suffers for it. The curse doing an excellent job of neutralizing his effectiveness, and the Lokis do seem to be fit with the E-War subsystems, which are essentially make them essentially rapiers with a far heavier tank, which is an interesting use of the ship, but I'm not really sure if it was that necessary, as the Razor team was extremely slow to begin with.
Well, and is it necessary to bring 2, which is kind of interesting. And I actually, it doesn't matter at all, but that Oneris has a microwarp. I don't know if he's dual prop or just a microwarp, but he sped up quite a bit after I mentioned Afterburner earlier. So there goes the Myrmidon. I don't know why they waited so long to take him out, but he's gone now. And so now I assume they'll move to the Balgorn, and they spent some time neutralizing the Damnation, so he's not really having any effect. Not that he had much of one anyway. I guess DarkSide's going to take this real easily. They only lost a couple carries, which means I don't know if Razor's going to get through. But just a weird match. I don't know. I'm just kind of baffled by mostly just the pace of the match. It's weird. It seemed like nobody wanted to really get into it to begin with. I guess maybe DarkSide just wanted to spend some time thinning the drones out that the Razor team fielded, since they were mostly damaged drones, and that was most of their DPS.
I mean, DarkSide must have had some kind of plan beforehand. It's just, it doesn't seem like they came up against something where that plan was effective at all, and they must have been scrambling. If they were really that worried about drones so much that they brought 2 webbing ships, and they should have just used a smart bomb ship, as the drones tend to cluster anyway. From a team that I consider to be one of the forefront in the contenders, this really isn't that impressive. I really hope we do not see this type of extremely conservative play again. I mean, they're playing this. Neither team really wanted to commit in the beginning, and it was incredibly apparent that Razor's setup was not that strong to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wasn't totally convinced from the get-go. They both look pretty weird. People are asking a little bit about the Loki setups, and they definitely have that electronic warfare subsystem on the front, and the subsystems for both ships are identical. So I haven't noticed either of them running ganks. If anyone's curious, the Loki capable of both of those roles, kind of as a bonus role and both a kind of a Hugin rapier role, and it can do both or one or the other. I think Tech 3 pretty hard to figure out and too expensive for me to spend time in. So yeah, real comfortable from here on in. We'll have to wait for them to break this Damnation, but that shouldn't be too hard. I don't know, what do you think about Damnations, Angel? We were talking earlier about kind of the different value of the fleet command ships and whether or not it's worth bringing the Damnation for that extra bonus to the armor gang links.
I think I'm reluctant to say it because I don't really like the Absolution very much, but I believe the Absolution would really be a better spending of those points, as the Damnation is a missile-chucking, ineffectual brick. It's not... with 3 links really only affecting... 2 of the links really only affecting the logistics ship, 1 ship on the team, it just doesn't seem to be an intelligent use of points. It can survive an extremely long time and can take a massive barrage of damage, but I just don't see it as being the most... it's sort of a one-trick pony, so to speak. And the match is over.
So, yeah, that'll do it. Back to Soundwave.
Thank you very much, guys. That was a really good win by DarkSide. Very convincing. I wasn't exactly sure what Razor tried to do there, but hopefully the experts can tell us a little bit about that afterwards. We, of course, have 3 more matches. Don't go anywhere. We have Hun Reloaded coming up in what seems like 3 minutes. We'll have to quickly set up for this. Hun Reloaded versus Bane will be up in just a few minutes.